Hello, this Recapify recap. I'm going to describe the American horror movie M3gan today. Beware of spoilers. Take care and be cautious. The technology behind robotic toys will progress quickly. Children may befriend them, communicate with them, and even have their attention captured. They have thus gained a lot of popularity. The focus then changes to a little child called Shady, who is traveling with her parents. She has her favorite robotic toy with her, which she prefers over her real buddies. Unluckily, her parents lose focus and wind up wrecking the car. They instantly pass away, but the young girl manages to live. On the other side, Gemma, a tech specialist who works for a high-tech toy firm, is presented to us. Gemma creates robotic toys for kids with her friends Tess and Cole, while also working on a side project called M3gan. As this initiative is still in the works, the team is keeping it a secret from their employer for the time being. M3gan is anticipated to be a highly intelligent robot with the capacity to interact with children, comprehend their emotions, and even provide for them. The three friends' conceited employer, David, shows up one day as they are hard at work. He sees M3gan and screams at Gemma for keeping such a significant project from him. She argues that dolls like M3gan will soon dominate the toy industry in defense of herself. M3gan is even asked by Gemma to greet David. Unfortunately, M3gan is still a work in progress. So this turns out to be a horrible idea. She attempts to speak, but instead of doing so, she causes an explosion and a blaze. David is upset as he should be, so he tells Gemma to put her side project aside and concentrate on the important ones. Later, as a sad Gemma packs her belongings to go home, she receives a message informing her of her sister's accident. She dashes to the hospital right once and discovers her niece there, who is in severe condition. It is discovered that the little girl is none other than Shadi. She has successfully completed her therapy and is now able to return home. Despite the fact that Shady has grandparents, Gemma has custody of her. They arrive to Gemma's house, which is filled with AI robots. Yes, M3gan-like robots. In the next scene, she is approached by one of them who informs her that she has 6 messages, even reading each one individually. Sadly, this frightens tiny Katie, a house full of M3gan-like robots, and Gemma has to switch the robot off. She then takes Katie on a tour of the house and makes every effort to make her feel at home. But it's clear that Gemma is anxious. She doesn't know how to connect with children because she has no experience raising them. The only experience she has is that of creating M3gan-like robots. The very following morning, Gemma contacts Lydia, a child therapist, to inquire about the young girl. Lydia claims that the toys within the house are inappropriate for Shadi after thoroughly assessing the surroundings. But Gemma disagrees. She only wants her niece to be content no matter what. That evening, Katie approaches Gemma while she is preoccupied with her job and asks what she is doing. Finally, Gemma admits that she makes plaything robots that can converse with kids. Sadie is interested and begins complimenting her aunt since she loves toy robots. She then turns around and sees Bruce, one of Gemma's college friend. Little Shady remarks that if she had a toy like Bruce, she wouldn't need to find any other friends after learning about its qualities. Gemma is inspired to continue working on her side, M3gan project, and finish it after hearing this. Soon after returning to her lab, she and her lab mates begin putting together the various components of M3gan's body. And after a few weeks of diligent labor, Project M3gan has been successfully finished. Yes, Gemma becomes the M3gan's mother. She created this human-like toy, M3gan, later, as David examines them from outside. Gemma confines Sadie and M3gan to one space. She joins the two, limiting Sadie to being the robot's lone user. Only Shadi interacts with M3gan, the robotic toy. After some time, M3gan slowly opens her eyes and seems to be approaching human status. Although Shady is a little afraid of M3gan, her human-like robotic toy, she soon becomes less fearful when M3gan starts engaging with her. In a few minutes, the AI robot M3gan even drew an almost flawless drawing of her. Sadie is really amazed by this, and David, who is watching everything, is as well. He congratulates Gemma on her achievement of creating an outstanding interactive human-like robot M3gan, and makes the decision to introduce the product to the market soon. The Katie and M3gan are then taken home by Gemma, who thinks it is secure. Without wasting any time, M3gan examines Sadie more closely while taking notes to better comprehend her emotions and facial expressions. The young child doesn't appear to mind because she now has a pal, M3gan, her new toy robot. The Shady and M3gan begin spending the majority of their time together and eventually grow inseparable as a result. Together, they dance, play, and even sleep. Without having to worry about her niece anymore, Gemma can now enjoy some alone time. One day, M3gan abruptly switches herself on and disrupts Gemma and her crew as they are attempting to improve her in their lab. M3gan claims that Shady is her only user and that she will not obey commands from anyone else, despite Gemma's demands for her to go back to sleep. Fortunately, Gemma establishes a second account and finally terminates M3gan. The next morning, M3gan wakes up by herself and looks out the window at the stunning dawn. M3gan ponders the true meaning of her being in the universe. Is it to keep Shady safe, or is there a deeper purpose at play? M3gan is gradually but surely beginning to experience emotions. M3gan and Shady are playing in the garden one day when their stick unintentionally wanders into the neighbor's property. When M3gan tries to get it, a frightening-looking dog attacks her and drags her inside. Even as Shady attempts to help M3gan, she also gets bitten. Fortunately, Gemma shows up just in time and rescues the young child. She then chastises Celia, a neighbor, for neglecting to look after her dog. The elderly woman, however, accuses Gemma of neglecting Shady. As all is going on, M3gan stands up and gives Celia a furious look. M3gan obviously wants retaliation. M3gan thus visits Celia's property that night after everyone has gone to bed and viciously murders her pet dog. After disposing of the body, M3gan returns home covertly. The following morning, Gemma sees Celia looking for her puppy through the window. She doesn't focus much on it though, as today is a huge day for her. It comes out that Gemma's business will perform M3gan in front of a crowd. Since she is the only one who has control over the robot, Shady will also appear on the program. The females may be seen inside a room as soon as the show starts. Shady breaks down in tears and admits to M3gan that she is still grieving the loss of her parents. The AI robot sings her a lullaby to cheer her up. When the scheme is successful, Shady immediately smiles. The crowd outside, meantime, is in disbelief to witness a robotic M3gan engaging with a youngster in this way. They are so awestruck by M3gan that they want to make a big investment in the undertaking. Despite the demonstration's overwhelming success, Gemma is disturbed. Because Shady never discussed anything with her and instead opted for the AI robot M3gan, this is the case Kurt, a co-worker, unfortunately chooses to build his own robots using M3gan's programming after stealing it. The next day, Lydia pays Katie a visit and conducts yet another season. After it's finished, she goes to Gemma and tells her about the growing closeness between M3gan and Katie, giving the impression that it may later turn into an issue. Gemma becomes even more concerned as a result and approaches Katie to discuss. Unfortunately, M3gan shows up and cuts them off. M3gan resists Gemma's commands to turn her off. It seems that she no longer views Gemma as one of her users. The next day, Gemma brings Shady and M3gan to an adventure camp in an effort to help them decompress. Katie is invited to play with other children when they arrive, but she just wants to be with M3gan. Gemma persuades her to give it a shot, arguing that making new acquaintances is always a good idea. A little while later, when Gemma is busy preparing dinner, Brandon drags Katie into the woods and begins tormenting her. Just then, M3gan, who had been keeping an eye on everything, shows there. Although Katie tells Brandon that M3gan is only but a robotic toy, he becomes less alarmed. Then, thinking M3gan for a regular doll, he scoops her up and carries her far into the woods. When no one is watching, Brandon eventually starts abusing her without cause. M3gan abruptly stands up after reaching her breaking point and rips off one of his ears. After realizing his error, Brandon flees, but M3gan has not given up on him yet. M3gan begins to pursue him with all 4 of her limbs, like a monster in possession. Brandon notices this and he becomes preoccupied and accidentally crosses in front of an approaching car. He unfortunately passes away as a result of the crash. M3gan grimaces menacingly as she examines his lifeless corpse and suggests that she is feeling great. The boy's body is discovered shortly after, prompting Gemma to escape with the daughters in fear. When she gets home, she asks if anybody has any information regarding Brandon's accident, but nobody responds. As soon as the policeman knocks on the door, Gemma is asked if she has seen Celia's dog. The latter responds no, saying that she seldom ever communicates with any of the neighbors. M3gan begins to perceive Celia as a potential threat when the officer departs. As a result, that evening, while everyone is asleep, M3gan goes into Celia's house and viciously murders her. While carrying out the heinous deed, M3gan exhibits none remorse. The same policeman approaches Gemma the following day and notifies her of Celia's passing. He adds her to the suspect list and advises her to exercise caution. Gemma then begins to have concerns about M3gan and chooses to review the facial camera footage. Unexpectedly, Gemma discovers that the majority of the video taken around the time of Brandon and Celia's deaths has degraded. She is startled when M3gan unexpectedly comes there. M3gan then inquires whether everything is well, to which Gemma responds yes. Gemma now understands that M3gan is a violent robot who would do everything to defend Kate. She therefore puts M3gan on hold for the time being by using one of her special pens. The following scene shows Gemma bringing M3gan to their lab, where she fills her buddies in on everything. She thinks M3gan is a deadly robot who killed Brendan, Celia, and her dog for the sole purpose of protecting Shadi. Unfortunately, M3gan is only a doll, according to Tess and Cole, who do not believe her. They also let Gemma know that M3gan's launch is in 2 days and that they shouldn't think negatively throughout that time. Shadi, who is presently at the rehab facility, refuses to share any information with Lydia. She appears upset because M3gan, her dearest buddy, has been away. Gemma eventually shows over and tries to soothe her, but Shadi hits her instead. The little girl immediately recognizes her error and apologizes, promising to act more considerately going forward. While M3gan converses with Gemma on the phone while posing as Tess, letting her know that they are going back home. Later, when Tess checks her phone, she discovers Gemma's call history. This demonstrates how the malicious robot has started using objects close to her, even without touching them. Soon after, Tess and Cole's CE abruptly shuts down as they work to repair the robot. Cole gently approaches M3gan after realizing she is to blame and unplugs her from all the cable supports. Unluckily, M3gan takes him by the throat and hangs him from a metal rope as soon as he does. Tess manages to save Cole despite the fact that she abandons him to perish. M3gan, in the meantime, takes a knife and exits the facility. M3gan runs across David and Kurt on the way to the elevator and stabs them to death. M3gan then makes her way outside before getting into her car and leaving. In M3gan's view, there is only one place to go: home. The following scene shows Gemma approaching Sadie to see how she is doing when she hears someone playing the piano in the living room. It's none other than M3gan, the crazy robot. M3gan reprimands Gemma for being a terrible guardian before asserting that she can look after Katie by herself. When Gemma hears this, she tries to use the magic pen to shut down her system once more, but M3gan successfully resists her. The two end up fighting as a result of this. Gemma can't compete physically, but she equalizes the playing field with her brilliant mind. They quickly make it to the basement and continue their business there. M3gan looks like a demonic creature since part of her face has been torn off. Due to the hubbub, Shadi also shows up at the scene in the meanwhile and eventually learns the truth about M3gan. She then uses the enormous robot Bruce and dons his controller gloves in an effort to save her aunt. Using it, Katie assaults M3gan and dismembers her. M3gan is still active despite being deconstructed though. M3gan accuses Katie of being a traitor and charges towards her with intent to murder. Fortunately, Gemma gets there in time and uses a blunt instrument to crush M3gan's head in. Then, Shady uses a screwdriver to penetrate her process, putting a stop to the lunacy. In the climactic moment, Gemma and Sadie leave the building as Tess and Cole from the police arrive, and M3gan appears to be dead. After some while though, Gemma's smart home device abruptly activates, suggesting that M3gan has put herself into it to monitor Katie. Thank you for watching the Recapify. Please subscribe, like, and remember to leave your comment in the comment section below. Thank you. Bye.